What's up, y'all? It's your girl Nick Robinson with the Y'all Effect. Welcome back. So today I want to get into how to effectively break up. I know sometimes we get on this path where we're going back and forth and we don't know what to do. We don't know how to cut it off. There's been several times when I've been helping ladies and they say, well, he keep coming back, or we broke up but then we get back together, and it's not really something they want to do. It's kind of like you just going through the motions. Okay, so I have 5 tips to give today about how to effectively break up. I'm gonna refer to my list, so y'all just bear with me real quick. So the first thing that I have on my list is realize when to stop versus try harder. First of all, you have to get in tune with what your heart boundaries are. I say this all the time, but it's so effective because it keeps you on track with what you will and won't put up with. And all you can do is communicate these things to your partner, and if they are continuously violating that and you don't feel as if you can continue with the relationship, then I say, what's holding you there? You got to work out what's keeping you in an undesirable situation where you're unhappy every day, but you're still going through it. I've been there where day to day, I'm just not happy. I don't want to go home. I don't want to fight today. I don't feel like doing any of that. But you got to know when to stop and when to try harder. Sometimes, if it's just petty little stuff, hey, you may be able to work through that. But when it's to the point where, I remember one time when I was with my first husband, I had went to go see my sister. And, it was time for me to go home, right? Me and the kids had work and school the next day. And I was like maybe 5 minutes away from her house. And I was on the phone with her and I just broke down crying. It's so sad because I did not want to go home, y'all. I just did not feel like being in that dynamic. So I feel like when you get to that point, it is time to walk away. It is, because that was a cry of frustration. It was me crying because I was just tired of the way we were existing. We were probably in the middle of some kind of fight. Have you ever had a fight that lasts weeks? That's what kind of situation we were in at the time. And I just was frustrated and sad and tired. So definitely don't wait till you get to that point. But, there's several things that happened before I got to that place that I should have just been like, you know what? We are married. We have children, but it's just not going to work. Okay. So know when to stop versus try harder. If you get to a place where you've tried all you know to do, counseling and different tools and things that you've gotten from the counselor or from the life coach, you have tried to talk, but the talks just lead to arguments. You've tried to change your behavior, and the your other partner is not following suit. I mean, when you've done everything you know how to do, it may be time to just stop. And when I say stop, sometimes people stop, take a pause to try to like shock somebody into reality, like, hey, this is what your life could be without me. Or I'm done, period. Okay. And when you get to the place where you're done, period, the next step on the list is, when you feel the urge to, reach out or to go back, just don't. Just don't. Okay. Find something else to do. Listen to music, go for a walk, exercise, talk to a friend or a family member that can get you up out that space. Dance, something. If you have kids, take them somewhere and let them play, and you guys, go to the park and have fun. Do something else, because when you reach back out, you're just starting the cycle all the way back over, and you're not showing your partner that you're truly sticking to what you're saying. Because if you tell somebody, I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm through, leave me alone, but then you the one calling them, it's like, okay, they're not going to take you seriously. They're not, because you're not doing what you said you were going to do. Okay. So to elicit that respect and, set up those boundaries, make sure that whatever you say, you can stand on it. Don't just be playing around saying something to try to threaten somebody, because guess what? If that person really cared about losing you, they know what to do. They know what not to do. They know when they've pushed you too far. You don't have to leave to prove a point. Leave because you're done. Leave because you're tired. Leave because you are moving on and you want better for yourself. And it does not necessarily mean that you're trying to go and be with somebody else. Sometimes we need space to ourselves. Sometimes we need to just say, you know what, let me connect with me and get myself together, because I know that I am a hot mess and I don't need to bring this mess into anything else. Okay. So once you get to the place where you have broken up, you've been apart for a little while, and you feel that urge, don't be like, hey, how you doing? Don't be like, you good? None of that, because that just opens the door for them to slide right on back in, and then here you go. Before you know it, y'all back in the bed, y'all back in the same spot y'all was in before you left, and then it gets worse. Okay, that's a cycle. That's a cycle a lot of times. If you are in a place where you guys can get it back together and you happy and it's long term, great, wonderful. But we talking about when you know that you know this is done and you just tired of the merry-go-round, because you know, like the merry-go-round back in the day when we used to be on the playground, it just go around and around and around and around and around. It doesn't stop until you get off of it. Basically, that's how it's designed. So are you gonna keep going around, or are you done? You know, like let's be clear and intentional, because that's the only way you can actually get what it is you want in life, period. I've tried it other ways. You just have to set the intention and follow through on it. That's it. Okay, the third tip is be realistic on what caused you to be at the breakup point. Be realistic about it, because sometimes when we start reminiscing about the relationship, it's like, oh, he was this, he was that, you know, she was this, she was that, and we start thinking about the good things and the good times instead of remembering what brought us to this place. And it's not to dwell on it, and it's not to, you know, ruminate on it and not get over it. It's just to remind you, especially when you've been in a cycle over and over with somebody, what brought me to this breakup place? What is it that I needed in that relationship that I didn't get and that caused me to walk? You know? And if you have a situation where your man is trying to come back and he's making all these promises to you and you want to go back, I ain't saying don't go back. I'm just saying lay down some boundaries, lay down some expectations, and have a talk. Don't just fall right back into it. Let him know, listen, the things I used to put up with, I'm not putting up with. The way you used to talk to me, you're not going to do it. Whatever it is, I don't know, fill in the blank for your specific situation. But let him know, look, if we're going to be together, this is what I need. And if, you know, be open to what he may need, because a lot of times it'd be a lot of miscommunication. It'd be a lot of misunderstanding. A lot of times we go into this place where we assume things and we act according to our assumption instead of really communicating. When you are in a place where you can communicate for real and you guys can make a breakthrough, then that's all it takes sometimes. But if you cannot get to that place, okay, and you know that it's done, it's over, it's through, just walk in that. And don't use the kids as an excuse, y'all. Don't do that, because what happens is your kids grow up in this dysfunction and in this toxicity. And then when they grow up, that's what they're used to. We gravitate towards what is normal for us, not necessarily what's right for us, right? We gravitate towards what's comfortable. And you don't want your kids being comfortable with toxicity and drama and all this other stuff. Do you? I mean, do you really want them to emulate the type of relationship that you're in? If you do, then okay, that's you. But if you know that you don't even want this for yourself and you know that's not what you want for your kids, why stay in it? Find a way to co-parent. And sometimes you have to parallel parent, child. We'll get into that too. But, you know, find a way to still co-parent outside of the relationship. It can be done. But you cannot keep this back and forth. And then it's just a disruption to your growth and your healing. You know that you want better. You know that you can get better on your own, whether you have somebody else or not. It's not about having somebody else. It's about you living the life that you want to live. And you have to facilitate that. You do. Even when you're in a relationship, you have to decide what kind of partner you're going to be. You have to decide what you will accept. And so if you got to that place where it's just not going to work and you know what, you in year 10 and you still talking about stuff from year 1, baby, it's time to move on, okay? Unless you just going to look up one day and you're going to be too old and too tired and too sick to do anything about it. Who wants that? We talking about living our lives to the fullest over here. Like, this is what my channel is about. I'm trying to get people that want to move forward and grow, because that stagnant, it's just, it kills you slowly. It does. It really does. The stress, look at what stress does to your body, y'all. It's just not worth it, okay? It's just not worth it, all right? So the next thing is, while you are in this breakup season, okay, You ain't just gonna sit there and be sad. You ain't gonna sit there and be mad. You can have those emotions. I ain't saying don't, but during this time, the fourth tip is to look at what you could do differently. All right. No relationship wrongs are just placed on one side. Okay. As bad as it may be, the other person may have done a more severe wrong than you. But when I say wrong, I mean, what could you do different? Okay, so that you don't end up recycling this experience, because who wants to keep going through the same thing over and over and over again, whether it's with the same person, whether it's with multiple different people? Who wants to do that? Get to where you want to be by making sure that you understand how you ended up in that place from the beginning. What could you do differently going forward? How can you carry yourself better so that you attract better? What can you do? This takes time, y'all. It's not no quick fix. And you have to understand, this is a marathon. It's a marathon. Life is a marathon anyway. You're going to be here anyway until you die. So you may as well continue the upward movement. Continue the upward growth. Like, don't stay still too long. Yes, you can mourn the relationship for a time, but when you are months out and you still not any better than you were when you first left, you may need some help. And that's where the fifth tip comes in at. Get you some third-party unbiased help. Sometimes your friends and family, they mean well, but they're not professionals. They can't be objective, meaning they can't see your side of things. They don't understand how to talk to you. So sometimes you need some third-party help. Get you a life coach. Get you a therapist, somebody that can help you navigate these things that I'm talking about here. Get somebody that is unbiased, that don't know you or your partner, because they're not going to take sides. They shouldn't anyway. They should be professional enough to be unbiased, whether it's gender or not, because ladies, the men aren't always the ones in the wrong, and we're not always the ones in the right. Okay. And even if you did your very best in the relationship, work through what you're going to do next time when you see yourself exerting all this energy and effort into something and somebody that is not working. Sometimes you have to cut it off sooner. Sometimes you have to just be like, you know what? I don't see any future in this. And so I'm just going to go ahead on and just, back away. We don't have to have any hard feelings. I don't think you're a bad person. It's just, we gonna just watch this because it's done. And when you get to a place where you're done with the foolishness, you're not going to waste your time. And when you get with a man that's a good man, he ain't going to waste his time either. So boom, there you go. You have to find somebody that's on the same path as you, that want the same thing as you. This getting with people and trying to change them, it doesn't work, y'all. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And then you have to also understand potential energy and kinetic energy. Potential meaning that, somebody may have the potential to be this way or that way, but they're just not doing it. They're just not doing it. And it's good enough for them that they have the potential and they're just not doing it. Especially when you accepting it. If it's not going to cause them to lose out, why would they try? And it's nothing you can do about that. It's an internal thing. And then when you leave them or they break up with you or whatever, however it goes, and you see them in the next relationship doing all the things that you want them to do, you know why? Because this other person made requirements. Okay? And one thing I know for a fact, ladies, is this. Understand me when I say this. A man does not appreciate what he does not work for. He does not. Think about it. We assuming that we're talking about a man who has achieved some things in his life, right? We're talking about a man who, just has it going on, right? He had to work for that. For his job, for example. If he want that job, he gonna get up, he gonna go to work, he gonna be on time, he gonna perform well, he's going to, grow on the job, he's gonna be promoted, this, that, and the other. Even if he has his own business, that business is growing. He's making more money. He's getting more clients. Whatever it is, he's going to work for that. Okay, don't let these men play with you and think that they don't work for what they want, because they do. If he ain't working for you, he don't want you. At the very least, he could take you or not. You see what I'm saying? If he can take you or leave you, leave him. All right. You don't want nobody that's wishy washy about you. You want somebody that's like, now I want her. So what is it gonna take for me to have her? Okay. And I'm talking about some things that money can't buy. All right. I'm talking about some love, some respect, some, responsibility. I'm talking about some consideration. I'm talking about the things that money cannot buy when it comes between relationships and men with men and women. That's what I'm talking about. Because the man can buy you anything. Okay? Because honestly, in my first marriage, I had a lot of things, right? But no sustenance. I had red bottom shoes. I had designer clothes. I had designer purses. I had a lot of stuff. I had jewelry. And guess what? When I left, I sold all of it. Sold all of it. My ring. The only thing I kept was one necklace that my daughter wanted when she was little. That's the only thing I kept. Everything else, took it right on down there and sold it, because it didn't mean anything in the end. We trying to get to some real authentic relationships here, because if you're tired of the mess, if you're tired of the drama, and you want something real, it takes time to kind of navigate through how to get there, especially when you've been in practice of doing it all wrong. Let's just be honest. I mean, if you had a relationship that was what you wanted, then you wouldn't be in a cycle of breaking up. You wouldn't be going man to man. You wouldn't be still in search, And then we also want to get to a place where when we do find that relationship, we know how to function in it. Because I know a lot of men, good men, but they being mistreated. And they love her, and they may have a family with her, but they unhappy. And that's not fair either. That's not right either. You don't have to dog a man out to see if he love you, right? Because if you really love him, you wouldn't be able to do that to him. So, at any rate, y'all, those are my tips for, breaking up for real and getting to a better place mentally and emotionally, so that when the time comes, you're ready for the type of relationship that you really are seeking. I appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got for today. You guys let me know. That's not the whole list of things that you can do. It's just the tip of the iceberg, if you ask me. But what are your tips for breaking up and staying broken up? Like, what have you done? Link it in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Let's have a conversation, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, share all the good things. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.